Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Sophia, and I'm here today with Eileen West. We're talking about the Pilates Hut based in Banchory. It's the only fully comprehensive studio in Aberdeen City and Shire. And the reason we're doing this is to highlight some of the members of the Pilates Hut studio and to see who they are, what they do, and why they like and why they support the Pilates Hut. And their two instructors, Michelle and Rebecca. So hi Eileen, how are you doing?
I'm great, thanks Sophia.
Good. Tell us, how long have you been with the Pilates Hut and what made you start?
Well, I'm thinking it must have been about 2018 that I started going to see Michelle. So it's probably about 4 years now. I used to go to a gym. I used to run marathons. I was a manic runner. Then I started up a business homeboarding dogs, which kind of made, I just didn't have time for that anymore. But I came to the conclusion after a few years that I really, really missed that. I also missed just some me time, being physical, but me time, where nobody can get hold of me, yet I was being good to myself. And I really missed kind of that class atmosphere, you know, that fun type thing. I did actually join a gym in Banchory for a very short time and absolutely hated it. It was dark, there were no windows. I don't know if you can say this or not, but nobody came near me. I really didn't like it at all.
So it's quite isolating as a form of exercise.
Yes, nobody spoke to me. Nobody came to spot me doing weights. It was just young guys posing about really, and I thought, no, this is not for me. So I decided to go to the Pilates Hut, met Michelle, just thought she was great. I loved the location. I loved the big windows, the view. I'm a very outdoorsy nature person. I loved that I could be in a class and look up to Scolty, where I'd probably walked that morning, looked over the golf course. We can do it on the decking in the summer. You can just lie there with your eyes closed, hear the gentle thwack of golf balls. It is just brilliant. It's just magical. It's lovely. It's lovely.
So I know, because you've just told me that you don't just do the one job, you've got something else which is quite exciting. What else do you do?
Well, my one part of my business is the homeboarding, which is a very physical business. And the other part of my business, I write, but I also host a radio show. So the other half is very cerebral, sitting at my laptop. And I find that my Pilates classes, it's like a little refresh for my body and my brain. I just, because Pilates, you can't really be drifting off thinking about other things while you're doing it. You have to think about your core and what your body's doing. And then in your head, you're thinking about what Michelle had said to you the day before about sitting upright or something. You're constantly thinking about what your body is doing. And that's not easy for me because I have got the attention span of a gnat. So it's very good for me. That way. So yeah, it's both psychological and physical for me.
Fantastic. Why did you join? What is it about Pilates? Why choose Pilates?
I think it was just because I do a lot of physical exercise with the dogs and I was running a lot. I needed something that was a little bit different, that would address more specific things, especially as I get older, my core, my balance. And I think Pilates is just perfect for balance. As you get older, you hear lots of things about balance. And I do believe that Pilates and yoga definitely improves your balance. Compared to a lot of friends in my peer group who are already having falls and spills. I've not had anything like that. I know my balance is pretty good. It was just a gentler but more precise exercise for me. Everything about Pilates is extremely precise.
Yeah. So we know that there are a lot of fantastic Pilates teachers out there, a lot of classes. Why the Pilates Hut?
Well, I mean, to be honest, location, because I can be there from my house in about 15 minutes, which is great. It's also just the way it's set up. You know, one whole length of the Pilates hut is glass. So I can see outside, I can see the seasons, you know, I can see nature, I can watch the sky. That's a big part of it for me. I do not like to be hemmed in and enclosed.
And enclosed.
The location is just second to none.
Yeah,
but it's
magical,
also because she
it?
has a lot of reformers, and that's really my big thing.
Right. So I've seen a reformer, and it's quite difficult if you've not seen one to explain, to describe what it is. So how would you describe, because there are group reformer classes, what is a reformer?
Well, it probably looks a little bit like an instrument of torture if you haven't really experienced it, but trust me, it actually is. No, it's not. No, it's not. Sometimes we feel like we're being tortured, but it's not. It's basically a static platform with a moving carriage and straps that you can use for resistance. And it's just brilliant. The things that you can do on the reformer never fail to amaze me. It is the most diverse piece of equipment I've ever seen.
Oh, so there we go. So that leads me nicely on to, what are your two favorite classes that you go to, and how often do you go to the Pilates Hut?
Well, I only have one favorite class, and that is the reformer class. Well, I mean, I suppose I do have two, because I go to group reformer, but I also go to self-led reformer classes. So if Michelle is in the large equipment room, you know, doing a one-on-one with someone, I am free to go into the reformer room and just work away myself. I've done it for long enough now, and she can keep an eye on me through the glass paneling.
Yes.
But I've been doing it long enough now that I just do my own thing. I do still work hard, I think. She would be right on to me if I was not working hard, I think. So yeah, my self-led group reformer and the group reformer classes, they're my favorite.
Brilliant. What do you think the qualities are to a good instructor? I mean, instructor. I know that we have Michelle and we have Rebecca. What are they like as instructors?
They are, first of all, fun. They're really fun. We really have a good time in class as well. It's not one of these scary classes where you walk in and everyone's posing in lycra trying to outdo one another. It's just really relaxed. We're all friends. We're all there for the same reason. Nobody's trying to outdo anybody else. It's not a competitive sport, Pilates. And they just know their stuff. I don't do an awful lot of Rebecca's classes, just the timing of it. Most of mine are Michelle's. And Michelle is really an expert on anatomy. You can ask her anything. She just knows the answer there. If you have a little twinge one day, you can say, oh, well, you know, I did something up in the hills. I've got a sore knee. She will tell you exactly what to do to protect it or improve it. And she mixes it up a little bit. Very, very seldom are two classes exactly the same, so that keeps the interest up. You never think that, oh, I know what's coming next, although I am quite guilty of that. I do kind of tend to do my own thing, and then I find out that the rest of the class are doing something different. But no, it just keeps your interest going, keeps you alert. And she's a fantastic instructor, and she watches all the time. You get away with nothing.
Okay. So let's take it back and think, because COVID has been an awful time, and obviously small business owners have to adapt. How did you think the Pilates Hut coped with COVID? Because hopefully we're coming out now. Hopefully we'll be able to see class sizes increase a little bit more. But how did the Pilates Hut cope with COVID?
Well, I think it must have been absolutely devastating for Michelle and Rebecca not to be able to, you know, interact with their students. But Michelle, the effort, the capital outlay, the expense that she put in to keep us all going on Zoom was just astounding. I mean, I know my business completely disappeared because no one could go on holiday, so I had no dogs. And I would say that probably my daily, sometimes twice daily, Zoom Pilates classes were the thing that stopped me going absolutely stir crazy.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, obviously, Pilates at home is very, very different to having the face-to-face classes held at the studio itself. How did you feel about, or how do you feel about Pilates at home? Does it work?
It works beautifully. I don't think it's that different. We still managed to have interaction with each other because you could hear everyone else. We really had a good laugh. It was really, really good fun. Obviously, Michelle could still keep an eye on us, not to the same degree because we're just tiny little matchbox pictures for her, but it worked beautifully for me. I loved it. Like I say, I usually did one in the morning, one in the evening, pretty much every day.
Wow.
And I think it worked really well. And there were a good hardcore of us that did that. And you just kind of got a great interaction. In fact, sometimes I think we built up more of a kind of an interaction with each other in Zoom, more so than in the class.
Oh, right. Isn't that funny?
I know.
Gosh.
It was lovely.
Oh,
It was lovely.
yeah.
It was pretty
Oh,
much the same people all the time, and you kind
yeah.
of knew which were people's favorites, and you would say, "Oh, here's your favorite coming up, Heather," and it was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, Michelle will be absolutely chuffed to get that feedback. Now, before we close off, what if for anyone who's sitting on the fence and going, not quite sure why I should be doing Pilates, who do you think it appeals to?
It should appeal to everybody, no matter what your age. There's a couple of young mums joined Pilates recently. They're really loving it. You would think that they would be at the gym or running or something. They are loving it. It really appeals to everybody. You can do it at your own level. Michelle is really good at keeping level. You can do this, or you have options, you have alternatives to keep the levels down if something is a bit difficult for you,
Yeah.
or indeed if you have an injury or a little niggle. She keeps you very safe. I know I have noticed a huge difference just in my core, and it's very satisfying after a few months, sometimes weeks, to see that difference in your body. Things that you may perhaps found a little bit difficult at the start are now still challenging, but you can do them and you can do them well. It's very satisfying.
Yes. Oh, fantastic. Right, before we close off, and thank you so much for your time, Eileen, it's been great.
You're
Why
welcome.
don't you tell everyone about the Wild West show? When's it on? What's it about?
Oh my goodness.
How do you find it?
I've just started it. Program number 2 is coming out soon, so there is a pilot up there. It's on Riverdee Radio. You can get it on the Riverdee Radio Facebook page. I just look down for the Wild West show. It's a bit of a smorgasbord magazine program of music, chat, interviews, pretty much related to the D-side, the Valley. Bit of fun. Just hopefully a good listen. Half an hour. If you've got half an hour to spare, have a little listen. It's also on their website, Riverdee Radio. You can get it on Mixcloud. So the next program should be airing perhaps Friday at 12 o'clock, but you can get it anytime.
Fantastic. A pleasure to speak to you, and thank you very much, Eileen.
You're very welcome. And Michelle will be being interviewed on the Wild West show soon.
Great.